Greetings, Deep Dive Podcast listeners. This is your boy, Sam Oram, coming at you with another episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. Guys, I'm so excited about our guest tonight. We're going to have an incredible time. But before we get into that, I always like to thank all of our listeners. We've had an incredible season 2 so far. The numbers have been incredible. We've had people who have logged in from all over the world. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. There would not be a Deep Dive Podcast were it not for you. So I truly thank you for that. I ask that you continue to like, subscribe, download, and share this podcast. Not only are we talking about things that will entertain you, but we're also talking about empowerment. We're in a position now where we can empower people all over the world, and that's exactly what we're looking to do. But tonight, we're going to have a little fun. I have a very special guest for you tonight that I'm so excited about. You know, we've had so many people on over the last couple of years that, you know, people from the athletes and actors and just everyday people, business owners. We had a billionaire. So we've had a lot of people on. But this guy's very special to me. He's an incredible individual. He's my little brother, but he is an incredible individual. Just so you understand, you know, he is actually a five-time Billboard charting independent recording artist. You don't just do that just because, you know. He's been number one artist on various music sites throughout the industry. That is super impressive, and I'm so excited and proud of him for that. He's actually cut records and demo records with and for Grammy award-winning and nominated artists, multi-platinum producers. I mean, he's done it all, guys. Think about this. He's even worked with my girl T-Boz, you know, from TLC. He's worked directly with her. He's expanded his brand even into acting. As a matter of fact, his first film was Gangland. It was actually the musical with Tamar Braxton, Clifton Powell. You know Clifton Powell, right? He's the preacher in every play. But anyway, but anyway, guys, he's doing some incredible things. His latest singles, "Can You Feel Me?" and also "Caution." These are some of the hottest singles out there. He's actually surpassed over 1.5 million streams on Spotify. Think about that, 1.5 million streams. Now, I ain't going to tell his business, but just imagine if he had $1 for each one of those streams. That's the kind of person you're going to hear from tonight. And he's actually reached the top 20 on iTunes. So I can go on and on and on about this guy, but let me just tell you, he is a businessman extraordinaire, an artist extraordinaire, actor, and a very good guy. So I want to introduce to the world, for those of you who have not met yet, none other than Mr. Quinton Storm. Q, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing
Definitely
outstanding, man. Outstanding. I'm so happy to get you as a part of the Deep Dive Podcast family.
yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, man. I know you're always super busy, so you know I try to respect your time, and you know. But I'll tell you how this actually came about. It's kind of funny, but I was somewhere traveling. I don't even remember where I was. I was traveling, and I got this rental car, and then I just pop in my, you know, my phone just connected to the rental car, and just driving along, minding my business, thinking like I always do. And all of a sudden, one of your songs pop up on Spotify, and I just start cheesing in the car. Right? I'm like, this is my boy. I'm way out here in Timbuktu, and here my boy is popping up in the car. I think I text you like, man, I'm just sitting in the car cheesing, but I'm like, come on, do this podcast with me, man. So I'm happy to have you here, bro.
yeah, no, I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So what's going on with you, Q? What's going on with you these days?
Man, at the moment, currently doing cold reads and auditions from home, and also working on 2 EPs, trying to do a two for one special. So
Hmm.
my plan is to drop one sometime in the summer, and then do the second half around winter. Music consumption is at an all-time high, so it's like now if you're
Yeah.
not putting it out, you're forgotten about these days.
Right. Yeah, you gotta have that old Prince mentality. Just keep putting it out. You
You
know?
literally.
Yeah, man. I know you've put a lot of music out. You've been working hard, and so many things on your craft. But let me ask you, what drives you to really just focus on this music and acting? What's really driving you to this success?
Oh man, I think it might be the performance aspect of it, or just kind of like
Hmm.
the way people take in the art. Um, Probably one of my childhood talent shows that kind of ignited that spark. Like it's a different thing when you're like in the studio, kind of like creating something from nothing. That's
Hmm.
probably what it all really boils down to for me. It's just the
Right.
taking taking a beat or just taking an idea and pretty much creating something from out of thin air. That's probably
Hmm.
like that probably drives me the most. I'm just one of those type of people. Like anything creative, like even if it's just cooking, like anything where I'm
Hmm.
just creating something, creating a final product from pretty much nothing
Right.
is probably my driving force.
Yeah, I know you to be, multi-talented and driven like that. I mean, you mentioned, you started performing earlier. When did you decide to start performing, or that you wanted to be a performer? When did you decide you wanted to be a performer?
Honestly, I want to say it probably was accidental because my uncle, he had a record label in the '90s when I was a little kid.
Hmm.
Maybe like I was probably like 3 or 4, and he had these rappers book. One was my cousin, and they had a big show. It was like hundreds of people there at the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center, and my uncle, he didn't show up, but his partner, his rap duo, he was there. So they were waiting for him to get there. So he was trying to figure out what all he can, who all he can throw on stage to kill time. And he was like, he was like throwing my cousins on there. Everybody literally just doing random stuff. So
Oh, really?
he pushed me out there. They put on Michael Jackson, and it just clicked. As soon as they put on Michael
Right.
Jackson, I just went straight in, straight Jackson 5.
Oh yeah, I think I saw a picture somewhere with you, one of those throwback pictures in the whole Michael Jackson joint. I'm like, what is this dude doing? But
And
hey,
it's
I
funny,
tell you what though, you were throwing down though. I give you that much.
they didn't even know like where it came from because they never seen like I never danced for anybody or nothing like that. It just was like, where did that come from?
Right, right, right. Nah, that's funny, man. And I didn't even mention that the fact that not only you're a singer but you're a dancer as well. I mean, you've kind of done it all in this industry.
Yeah.
So you said, what was it, your uncle that didn't show up? You said,
It was one of my cousins. Like
oh,
him,
one of
not
your
him. He
cousins.
showed up finally, but he showed up late.
Oh,
But just
okay.
that time when they put me out on stage and I kind of got to feel like Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
maybe that's I was like, man,
Li-
this is the thrill.
yeah, Lil Michael Jackson. What so who kind of mentored you through your success? I mean, I've kind of watched you from the very beginning, early on, and I've seen the growth, and for you to be a top selling artist and streaming with some of the best there is out there, who's kind of mentored you along the way, to get you from where you were to where you are today?
Man, I probably say I had like different time periods. I probably had a different mentor for that time period. But it's like a
Hmm.
lot of I have a few people that's been like consistently pretty much there. I would say you're one of those people who like always kind of pushed me to have like
Right.
kind of like a business mind because I've always
Hmm.
just been kind of the creative, just kind of floating through. Like when I had my first situation with with Sony, with this guy Tyrone Edmond and his company, I kind of just kind of floated through like those
Hmm.
situations, like not really digging into the business side. And then I met you, and you're like,
Hmm.
"So what's the business? What's the business plan?" I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, where's that business plan? That's my favorite question.
That kind of made me look more into like the business side of things. Like you're actually the catalyst of why I got out of one of my old management situations because I
Mm,
actually went back and read read the contract,
mm,
and I was like, I gotta get
right.
out of here. Definitely, I would say people like you. I got one of my other friends, Azamaye. He's a songwriter. My other friend, Alfredo, and then T-Boz, like T-Boz. and my friend Chris G's. I say probably you guys are probably in different ways. You kind of gave me a lot of nuggets. Actually, and my other friend Andre Merritt, he's a very successful songwriter too. Like kind of how I look at music or my approach, or things like that. All of that stuff kind of meshed into more so who I am now. So I definitely appreciate people like y'all for kind of getting me to focus on more than just getting in the booth, recording something and performing.
Yeah, man, it's important because, and this is not just for you, but everybody who's listening. I know we have people listening in from all over the world. A lot of people who follow you, they're listening in, and people who aspire to do some of the things that you're doing. But the lesson behind this all is understanding that, show business, and I've said this to you 1,000 times, but show business is 20% show and 80% business. And so we have to be able to dot those I's and cross those T's. So all of you who are listening and, who are looking up to Q and what you're doing with your music, you have to listen to what he's saying and understand that, yeah, there's glitz and glamour, but there's a lot of work that goes into being a Quinton Storm. There's a lot of work going into being, multi-million streaming artists and things of that nature. So you got to keep that particular aspect at the forefront of your mind before anything else, so but when you're creating who are some of the influences that you've had in terms of your music? I mean, I know outside of Michael Jackson, we know stepping on the stage being Lil Mike, but who are some of your musical inspirations or people who you may have kind of mimicked some of your creativity from?
Definitely, of course, Michael Jackson, like you said. Michael Jackson, Aaliyah. Like I always loved the mystery, kind of like the mysterious aura about herself.
Right.
Usher, Missy, and Timbaland. Missy and Timbaland, of course, and TLC. They would probably, like, if I could mesh all those people together, that's pretty much, I'm somewhere in that lane. It's funny. I was telling my aunt, I was like, I remember when I was a kid and she was listening to Crazy Sexy Cool. And I was like, man, that's going to be my friends when I grow up. And my auntie was like, well, be quiet. I'm like, no, for real, it's going to be my friends one day. And it's just so funny how, I don't know, just how the universe kind of cycled things around. Like even Missy, like going and hanging out with Missy and meeting Missy and just getting the love of like, I see what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing, you're killing it.
Yep.
Stuff like that. It kind of, surreal in a way.
Right. No, that's true, man. Again, you're dropping these nuggets. I hope people are taking notes if they, interested in this industry. But, to be able to create your future. We talked about this. I did a podcast recently with an NFL guy, and we talked about the same thing, creating your future, being able to speak these things into existence. I mean, it's super important. You talk about, telling someone that, you're going to be friends with TLC, and here it is, y'all friends and work together and things of this nature. And, that's incredible to be able to work with Missy and some of the other people. I mean, there's so many people that, you've worked with over the years that, I mean, you've claimed your future, and that's what it's all about, man. And that's why I'm so excited about not just what you're doing now, but the future, because I know as much as you've already done, the best is yet to come. You know what I mean? So, and speaking of that, tell us a little bit about, Can You Feel Me and Caution and these tunes that you got out now that just rocking the world.
Honestly, at this point, I pretty much just been, I want to say, quote unquote, creatively free. So like with those two songs, I kind of wanted to try something outside of like what people usually know me for, which is more so like just kind of the general contemporary R&B. So like with Can You Feel Me, I went more like Afrobeat, like more world music, world pop, but still of course has the R&B elements. Like pop radio kind of really took Afrobeat, like with Justin Bieber and stuff like that. They really kind of took it, and I'm like, man, I'm Black, I should be doing Afro. Like I'm Nigerian in my roots. So, I tried it and the song came out great. Like we wrote that song probably in like 15 minutes, honestly.
Really?
We actually didn't write anything down. I sat at the mic and me and my friend Wave, the engineer, and my other homeboy Go To. He's my co-writer. We just kind of said they were just coming up with an idea, and we literally just kind of breezed through that song like super
Man,
fast.
now you know what? That's crazy because I was going to ask you. Now I'm a musician in my own right. Now I'm not singer or anything like that, but actually had a dual major at Florida A&M. I majored in music and pre-med. And so I like writing. I like the whole process, not to sing, but to write. I'm a trumpet player, play all the instruments. But the thing about it, and I wanted to ask you about that creative process. Now, the fact that you said that you created a tune in 15 minutes, that kind of blows me away because for me, when I'm, in that whole musical process or whether I'm writing music, writing a book, whatever it is, it seems like it takes forever. But what is that process typically like for you when you're creating, music or whatever it may be?
Honestly, I would say it took me a few years to kind of realize that what did I get? I think I got this gem from Andre Merritt. He wrote like Forever, and he wrote Disturbia for Rihanna. Like he did a lot of great songs. And his thing was, he was like, if you don't feel the song immediately, like if you can't, as soon as you hear it, like within that first 30 seconds to 45 seconds, if you don't hear a hook or if you don't start to get something from it, move on to something else. And like ever since I kind of took that in, it's like if I don't feel it immediately, then I'll kind of like just go to like the next record and then I might cycle back through. But typically that's really how you kind of get them out, kind of get them flowing faster, more natural when it comes to kind of immediate. Because like if you're kind of forcing your creative process, then you kind of, it's easier to get writer's block. Like when you're really trying to think about it instead of just kind of feeling your way through the music. So I think that was probably like the key that kind of unlocked like doing records at that space.
I hear Lil Q in the background. He
He's
trying to be
in peace.
yeah, he want to be a star too. He want to he want to get on the screen.
Got no idea.
But that's cool, man. That's cool. We won't be very long at all. But a couple more things I really wanted to ask you, especially for people who are tuning in. I know a lot of people really tune in specifically to just kind of hear from someone like yourself who's had so much success. What kind of advice would you give a brand new up and coming artist, somebody who is where you were, 10 years ago, and they're just really trying to get things going? What kind of advice you would give them, good or bad?
Man, I would say one, this is definitely a tough business. Two, I would say, don't be so caught up in the fake it till you make it, quote unquote. So I feel like it was a part of my career where I was concerned about that for whatever reason. Maybe because that's the people that I was around, like my management at that point, they managed like rappers, like they were affiliated with like Cash Money and stuff. So they were more like appearance, blah, blah, blah. Like gotta look larger. And then I started realizing that a lot of other artists that I knew, I don't know if you're getting too much feedback from.
Yeah, I hear him. If I had my belt, I probably would.
I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
Man.
No, we good. We good.
Checking. What was I saying? Oh, like I've been around other artists who kind of their process was more so, all right, if I don't have investors, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna get me a job, I'm gonna work, and I'm gonna, spend my money wisely. I'm gonna use my money to invest into myself. Like a lot of artists feel like they're too good for that, but a lot of artists don't realize most people do work, but like I even have friends like that now, and they're older than me. Like they're in their like mid-30s, early 30s, still don't want to work. I'm like, man, so they keep like trying to get these girlfriends to help them like fund their music. I'm like, man, just do your job and fund your music. I'm like, people don't realize like there's certain people who do. They like Janae, her sister, Mila J. She went to be a masseuse after having a record deal, and then stuff didn't pan out. So she went and got a regular job, and then she was self-funding herself until she got a new situation with Motown. So it's like people don't, want to go through the process. It's grueling. Yes, it is. It's time consuming. It's stressful. You hate go on the red carpet one day, then you got to go to work the next day. But
But that's
literally,
real. You keeping it real. That's
literally just how
real.
it can be at times. And when it pays off great.
Hmm.
It's just like getting to that point. It's like a lot of people don't want to do that type of work, but we live in a microwave society, so
Hmm.
everybody sees people breaking out on TikTok like instantly. So people want that instant gratification at all times.
Right. Yeah.
I would say.
I know that doesn't exist. I could tell you, you know, you got to put in the work. You just
Yes, you do.
absolutely have to put in the work. There's no shortcut. You know, if you're going to have the success, I always tell people, I've said this on numerous podcasts, but sacrifice is the shortest distance between your dreams and the realization of those dreams. So let me say that again, sacrifice. So what does that mean? That means you may have to sacrifice sleep. You may have to, you know, like you said, work, get a second job, get a third job, get a fourth job, do what you got to do. Self-financing, believe it or not, for a lot of artists, ultimately is the way to go because it's a very small percentage of people who look to do the things that you've done. A very small percentage to really get investors or labels or people to back them. That's a small percentage. So if you're going to be in the industry, then in a lot of cases you have to self-finance. As you know, I have several businesses myself. I tried the bank routes and investor routes and all this other kind of stuff. Ultimately, I had to build all of my companies. I have 8 companies now. I had to build all of them through self-financing and had to build and sacrifice the same things that you're talking about that applies to the music industry. It applies to everything. So we got to put in the work. Y'all got to put in the work. So if you're listening, listen to what Q telling you. You know, he's giving it to you real. You may not like it, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, nobody want to
So
hear that side of it.
yeah, nobody. Now they want to hear the red carpet side. They don't want to
Want to
hear
hear
that
somebody
other side.
gave you 100,000 up front, you got that
Yep.
advance, and this and that.
Man,
And
you'll go through 100,000 so quickly and be right back at square one.
yeah, you and the way they have the loopholes now, like I know of a guy who he got a $1 million advance, and he pretty much already had all his music done,
Hmm.
and he went and told them, "Well, my music is done, so I don't need to put any of the budget into recording costs. And if I
Hmm.
do, I have my home studio." And they literally told him, "No, you have to use our studio. We'll find a studio for you." He said, "I don't like recording at record studios." So
Right.
it's one of the people that are affiliated with the label. He has a nice house and a nice studio. So they pay him $10,000 a month for a year and a half
Man.
out of his money. And he had no choice out of his advance to do his project. So over,
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's where that business part come in. You have to
yeah,
be smart. You know, you have to be smart when you're doing all of these things, man. So, you know, I tell you what, man, I'll say it again. I'm super proud of what you're doing. Before we get out of here, you know, what does the future hold for Quinton Storm? You know, what is it that you're looking forward to over the next few years with your career, acting, singing, whatever it may be?
man, definitely a lot more acting. Like after the first movie, it definitely opened a lot of doors, which I was hoping it would. It made,
Hmm.
it led to a lot more people looking at me as far as like my acting chops. And then that director that I worked with, he's worked with a lot of big actors and
Hmm.
other big directors and companies. So having him kind of tell people, "Oh yeah, like that kid, yeah, he's really a good actor."
Hmm.
Like that the whole thing was like an act. It's like this is literally like you said, be prepared, preparation,
Right. Yep.
preparation. When you get the opportunity, just be prepared.
Be
Because
prepared.
literally,
Yep.
I was only supposed to be an extra. This is a true story. Like I'll make it short. Supposed
No,
to be an
you're fine.
extra. Went in to do one line,
Hmm.
and somebody didn't show up. So they were like,
Wow.
"Well, we need you to be this other guy. He has like 4 lines." It was like it's not a big change, but at least
Hmm.
to knock this out, at least you'll have a bigger part. It will just let
Right.
it be a blessing. So I did it, and that ended up. I guess I did it so well and so in such a short time frame, very believable. They put me. My character consumed another character's parts,
Mm-hmm.
So all the other parts that the other guy had, they just, I guess, kind of scrapped that character, and it became my character. So then I
There you
had,
go.
another scene, a whole full scene, dealing with
Yep.
one of the main antagonists for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
just being prepared, just taking criticism there on the spot, and just kind of turning it into whatever they want it to be when you're creating somebody else's art. So if you're prepared,
Right.
you get the opportunity, and you do what you're supposed to do, doors open.
That's it,
Definitely.
man. Absolutely. That's it, man. Well, I tell you what, man, again, I'm so proud of what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. And for all of you who are listening, please take his advice. I hope you were writing this stuff down. If not, go back and listen to it again. We're going to get Q back to, do another podcast and, maybe listen to some of his songs and just really dive into what all of the excitement is all about. Because I'm telling you, this is a guy that, a lot of you, most of you have heard of what he's doing, but those of you who are being exposed, especially those of you who are tuning in from other countries, I'm looking at, I see Denmark here and Congo and just all of these areas that are tuning in. Hey, being exposed to what this guy is doing is going to be incredible. Brother, keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I hear little Q in the background, so
Yeah. Next time I come back, you will be making all this noise.
That's fine, man. Trust me, I understand.
I'm like, man,
So with that, man, anything closing remarks, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I would say, here this guy comes now. One of my main things, I just leave a little gem. Like, definitely believe in you, like, with all that you have. Like, I remember 2005, I'll make it short, had a conversation with Chris Brown. On my birthday, I met him at one of his shows. Somebody introduced me to him and told him that I sing and dance. So, like, we just laughing and joking around, and they're like, yo, he's really dope too. It was like, yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
dope, but he's dope too. So, like, they were trying to make this, like, competition thing. So they're trying to get us a dance battle, have a singing competition, all this stuff. So he was like, well, at the end of the day, run at number one. What number is your song? And, like, that stuck with me for so long.
Wow, yeah.
And now, like, I look over, like, to my left, and on my wall, I have a plaque that says number one. So I'm like, I can't
There
wait till
you
I see him
go.
again. So now I can be like,
Right.
hey, Breezy.
So you're number one now. Where is he?
Nah, much love,
That's
Chris.
funny.
Like,
That's
Chris,
funny. That's funny.
but yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
he's a
something
good
that's
guy, man. But that's good, man. You turn that into your motivation. Now, you got number one on your wall. So, man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Again, I can't say it enough how proud I am of what you're doing. And again, I know that this is still just the beginning. So keep your head down, stay focused, and let's make it happen, brother.
yes, sir. Appreciate you for
All
having
right.
me.
No problem, man. And for all of you who have tuned in to the Deep Dive Podcast, thank you again. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, download, and share. Go to our YouTube channel and take a look at this particular episode and all the other episodes. There's nuggets for everybody there. And there's nothing else. I appreciate everybody. God bless you, and I'll see you on the beaches of the world.